I have a formal statement I will make, and then following that, if there are any questions from anybody, I'll be glad to take them and field them as best I can. But this statement is, I think, essential that I give it to faculty and students of this campus. The following statement of a recent personal decision is such that I felt I should give it to you directly rather than through the media. As you know, I've expressed publicly my concern for the health of the two-party system in the state and in this nation. For the past 6 months, people from all over the state, from all walks of life, from all age groups, and from a wide spectrum of political ideology have responded to that declaration. A committee was formed to explore my candidacy for the governorship of Wisconsin under the Republican standard. I'm overwhelmed, frankly, that we have now exceeded 5,000 persons who have volunteered to help in this great undertaking. Until now, I have agreed to some specific restrictions as to those groups which I might address publicly, as well as certain platforms on which I would not appear. That concept of restrictions on my ability to speak out has bothered me increasingly over these past several months. I clearly understand my need not to politicize the university, as well as my need to carry out my duties as your chancellor. However, there is also here the basic issue of free expression and the right of a citizen to stand for the highest elective office in this state. And both of those matters concern all of you as well as me. I therefore have informed our system president that it is now necessary for me, based on my own convictions, to modify my understanding and acceptance of the mutually agreed upon limits upon my public statements. Hereafter, I will be addressing any groups directly and publicly which request such input within the limits of my personal time availability. Up to now, as you know, I've also maintained a nonpartisan posture and have operated as a Republican. Just minutes ago, at a location off campus, I have officially joined the Republican Party and have committed myself to the task of working toward assuming the leadership of that party. I wanted you to hear directly from me that I am no longer a neutral sitting on the sidelines. Let me urge all of you as students and faculty to get into the political process directly, regardless of party choice. Until such time as I request leave in order to enter upon a campaign as a candidate for governor, I will continue to carry out all of the duties and responsibilities required of me as your chancellor. You can be assured that this is my intent and that President Young will directly inform me at any time he feels my duties are not being carried out properly. I now realize that my acceptance of limits on the exercise of freedom while I am part of this great university system might eventually reach out to all of you. If I accept restrictions as chancellor, why not the vice chancellor, the deans, the faculty, or even the students? That simply must never happen. What I do here this morning, therefore, affects you all directly. I believe what I am doing to be necessary and right. And I also believe that the Regents and President Young will understand and support this. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, now, anybody got anything at all they want to fire? Yes, sir.
Fighting Bravo Powell, another progressive and a fine man in the state of Wisconsin, supported many things, one of which is the Bolshevik Revolution. He also talked about standing up against the military-industrial complex, America's entry into World War I. And I'm wondering, what is your opinion of the liberation of South Vietnam?
until I know fully what's happening in South Vietnam, I don't know that it has been liberated. If it is truly liberated, I would be highly supportive of that. But my communications thus far from those whom I knew so closely in the association there has not indicated that, nor have the news events of the time indicated that either. But I will watch it. South Vietnam has many personal involvements for me because those people were on this campus. But until I truly know that that's the case, I really can't give you an opinion one way or the other that it is liberated.
What made you join the Republican Party?
The fact that I think the party is in serious jeopardy and has been really been moving in a path of destruction. If they keep it up, they're going to wind up meeting in a closet. And I believe in the two-party system. I'm convinced that other than two elections in this nation's history, it was essentially the two-party system, where you get a clash of ideas, in a sense, the Miltonian Areopagitic concept. And we now no longer have that. We are already at a one-and-a-half-party system and heading to a one-party approach. Absolute need for opposition is critical in democratic thought.
Have you received any assurances from the Republican Party that they'll take care of you if you lose?
I haven't even received any assurances they'll take care of me if I win. Andy?
Chancellor Dreyfus, what do you feel is your greatest asset that will help you secure the Republican Party nomination?
I think the fact that I've not been associated with a single drive within that party, that I can reach out hopefully to get people into the political process from all breadth of political ideology, create a broad base, and at the same time develop the notion that we can create a standard under which new people can move in, take it over, and bring back a vitality with it. I really think it is in ill health, and the kinds of young people, kinds of independents, the kinds of progressive Republican people can possibly provide the revitalization necessary to make it broad. George?
What was Edwin Young's reaction to your decision?
I really don't know. I put it on a Xerox telecopier 1 hour ago, and assuming that the Bell-Tel system and that the telecopiers and that the labyrinth of hierarchy within Van Nuys Hall all provided it, I don't know, and I haven't the slightest idea. Let me say that knowing that man as long as I have, he was my dean when I was a faculty member at Madison. I know his beliefs in the need for free expression, as well as an understanding of maintaining the position as Chancellor. I'm expecting that the majority of the board and that the President will say, as long as you do your job as Chancellor, that's what we expect of you. Yes, sir.
Lee, when they forced you off the board of the Citizens National Bank, I was unhappy. I didn't think that was the right deal to throw a teacher out of business because you could be a better teacher if you knew the practical side of business. Would you make any change in that if you had to do it over?
Yes, certainly would. I think bank boards need somebody who would be publicly visible, and also somebody without a lot of money in the bank. I think you need that kind of person present, where you don't have the vested interest, and I was never encumbered with a lot of money in the bank, so my input, it seemed to me, didn't have that particular approach. I think that was an error. We already have too great a divorce from the academic world, from the commercial world, and as such, the two ought to, if they're going to affect each other, ought to be more interrelated.
Are you going to make another formal announcement for governor, or do I misinterpret this? Or you say here until such time as I request leave?
Right, at the point at which I request leave and officially declare for office, I expect to remain as Chancellor and carry out my duties while I am also speaking on any platform available to me and within the limits of my time, including my duties.
When do you think that'll be?
Within probably the next 90 to 100 days if our timetable follows. That's dependent upon a whole series of things, particularly dollars.
Do you think you'd leave the chancellorship then?
Oh, absolutely. I think I should. I feel strongly about the need to take leave if one is going to enter into a full-time campaign and candidacy, and that's the key critical issue. The university already had a policy, but they had it for state employees, and then when it was looked at, I don't think anybody thought a chancellor was going to do this.
The university is tape recording your political announcement today. Is that going to be distributed throughout the state at taxpayer expense?
Well, it won't be at taxpayers' expense, but one, I argue that the key issue of this is my freedom, and I don't see that as a political announcement. I don't accept your terminology. I think what's critical here for the faculty and students is that no citizen be encumbered from the right to stand for office or to speak on a given platform on any subject. That's far more important, and I wouldn't put that in a political category. I don't agree with your terminology at all.
Very good.
Yes, they will and have recorded it. It will be part of the archives of this university, and it will be distributed for those stations that want it as available. Almost as important as the Most Valuable Player Award to go out next week for Reed Giordano.
You said in the next 90 to 100 days you will announce your candidacy possibly for the governor. I was just wondering, would you then leave the office of Chancellor before the term was over, or would you wait till after the term was over before you leave being a Chancellor?
I'm sorry, I don't quite follow the question.
Okay, what I'm saying is,
Whenever I come forth with that announcement and make that declaration, as of that instance, I will have requested leave from the Board of Regents so that I am out on a campaign basis and operating that and not operating as Chancellor of the university,
even before the semester is over.
even before the semester is over. It is for that reason, as was ferreted out by one of the local news people, that my name was not listed as available for the teaching of a course, which I've taught since I'm here. This will be the first time in 28 and a half years that I've not taught a course, and I will miss that. But I knew I would not be able to complete it. Gene?
Chancellor, should you fail to get your party's nomination, would you settle for number 2 and run as a lieutenant governor candidate?
Burn that bridge when I get to it. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned here this morning of your announcement being made to faculty and students.
Yes.
I hope you haven't forgotten the staff members here at the university too.
No, I purposely excluded them for this reason, Sally. Our regulations under the state in terms of staff and what they may and may not do and how it is to operate have been made absolutely clear and exercised, so that the impact of the restrictions on me, I knew, were not related to staff. The staff rules, the entire civil service concept is laid out. If, for example, you made the decision that you were going to try to seek a candidacy, as I had, what you have to do, the limits on you, and the timing is very clear. It is not true for faculty as it is for staff, and that was the reason in editing it. I took the staff out because I realized that it was overextended. It really did not endanger the staff. At least I don't think so. I could be wrong. That was a personal judgment.
Okay, my other question is, if you would happen to get the nomination, do you have any special interest groups that you would expect to get funds from?
Not that I see at this point. The line's been very short, and I think until I see what's involved, I'm just not into that judgmental situation.
If you should win, what do you think you can do as governor that you can't do now?
I think I can freeze the size of the bureaucracy. I don't have any delusions about cutting it back, but we have a slogan of ZPG on the campus. We're going to change it to ZBG, and it's going to be zero bureaucratic growth, on the notion that we've already increased the burden of that approach. And I think once that's done, and begin to figure out what people ought to be under civil service, what are those that should not, policy-making people should not, just as I am not. And frankly, I want to get into that entrenchment. We now have people at policy-making levels who frankly are there continuously. Governors come and go, senators come and go, but some of the top people just go on forever, and they just keep changing horses. And that's beginning to affect our lives. We have on this campus, as on every other campus, begun to live with more forms, more requirements, more reporting, more audits. It's just getting beyond anything, and I think now it's got to stop, period.
Did I understand you say earlier that you've received no commitment whatsoever from the Republican Party as to your coming out?
You understood me absolutely correctly.
What was the meeting that you mentioned off campus? Who was that with?
Oh, that is the signing of my joining into the Portage County Republican Party. So I'm now a member of that group.
And they've done nothing to encourage you?
Oh, that isn't true. The local group, no, they've done a lot to encourage me, quite a good deal. but for $2 you get a card.
As a national leader in the field of education, could you give us your thoughts concerning the concept of tax credits for educational tuition?
All right, I'd be glad to. I just came back from the National Board meeting, and I'm one of the members of the National State College University Board. I think now that with the manner of the incredible increase in the cost of higher education, and it has just, in the 10 years I've been here, it's off the wall, and you students out here are well aware of it. We're now at a point where I think that those who are in effect supporting themselves or have families supporting them, and if they are out of any kind of a middle income, they're absolutely out of the picture. And I feel strongly that the society benefits from your higher education. This will be a stronger state and a stronger nation 20 years from today because of the young people who are here now. And since the society benefits, it provides some input. It provides the buildings, and it provides 3/4 of the cost of instruction if you live in the state of Wisconsin. That other quarter is mounting in size, as all of you well know. I believe that those who simply disengage from home and become independent then become available as impoverished young adults. But many families do not wish to go through that, and it becomes a charade. I do think then where families are helping students to go to school, and because of the benefit in the long range to the society, that this person ought to get a tax deduction on his income tax within the state of Wisconsin for having supported higher education and a student to that extent. And I do intend to push that program. It has till now not been supported nationally by the American Association of State Colleges and Universities, but I think we're getting that turned around nationally as well. Yes, sir.
Do you think a new campaign finance law should be drafted for the upcoming election?
It's probably too late to do that, and it looks like there isn't going to be a public financing law. Everybody was opposed to it except me because of the limits being too low, but from where I'm looking at it, nothing's too low. And the other factor is, by cutting it off, as I gather it's going to be cut off, I don't see where that will affect anyone other than me. Obviously, the loss of that income will have an impact on us. I don't think it will have an impact on the other three. They seem to be pretty well healed. George?
You indicated once before that by the end of January you would know whether you have enough money to continue this campaign, and that you might drop out if you do not have enough money. Do you have any reading on that at this point?
The reading at this point is that we're solvent, we're paying our bills, and it seems to be picking up in support. It's exceptionally broad-based. I still think we'll take enough of a look at the end of January to find out if we are going to be creating problems for all the support people. As I say, we now have 5,000 people signed in. I don't want to let them down. And I think that we will see in about 45 days where we are on the dollar run. There's no question, it takes dollars, but we think we can do it with a lot less than anybody else. Yes, Mr. Testellin.
Yes, apparently last year the New York-based Council on Economic Priorities and the Wisconsin State Public Service Commission have come out with studies which have shown that small coal-fired plants with the proper pollution abatement technology would be cheaper and more reliable than nuclear power plants. Would you, as a governor's candidate, support the nuclear moratorium that has been introduced by Representative David Clarenbach into the state legislation?
Well, you see, again, you give me an opening premise, Terry, that's longer than the question. And I'm not sure of all of your data and your premise. I'm assuming the President of the nation has an energy task force and study group now, and if what you say that the coal-based thing is really that effective, there isn't any question in my mind that that's going to be laid on, and we will back off to further create safety factors in nuclear power. I see it as a total national issue. That doesn't mean that we don't act independently as a state, but if that data were ever clear, I would say yes, but if it's not clear, no. I don't believe that as you hand the information to me, you give me enough basis to make a definitive answer to that. And you know me well enough, I just don't come up with answers based on non-clear information. I have to do that often enough as Chancellor. I'm not about to extend that.
Even when you announce your candidacy, I'm a little worried about who will step in as Chancellor. Will that be from within, or will Madison assign somebody from without? Do we have any input?
I don't know that there is a regular approach. We've had two instances of this within recent times. In one case, a person from Central moved in on a temporary basis. In another case, the Vice Chancellor became acting Chancellor. My own recommendation here will be the latter.
Dreyfus, 1/3 of our nation now lives under decriminalized marijuana laws. If you were elected governor, what would your position on this be?
All right, the decriminalization is, I think, perfect as a kind of issue that I think needs a broad range input. It is not an issue of youth, it's an issue for the whole society. There are some indications that where